boy is hanging from the balcony and is about to suffocate to death. Just as a kind woman passing by tries to rescue him, the boy's mother attempts to stop her. It turns out the woman is using an electric saw to cut through the metal railing around the boy's neck. The hospital director standing nearby is so shocked by the scene that he can barely close his mouth, because the cutting blade is only half a centimeter away from the artery. If her hand trembles even slightly, the boy would die instantly. The terrified mother screams for her to come down immediately. However, the woman holds the electric saw with steady precision and cleanly cuts through the steel pipe without hurting the boy at all. If she had been even half a minute later, the boy would have suffocated to death. Watching this, the director cannot help but call her a genius in his heart. If she were a surgeon, she would be absolutely unbeatable. Just as the woman prepares to leave, the talent-loving director cannot help asking whether she is willing to study medicine. Unexpectedly, the woman calmly says that she once was a doctor. Hearing this, the director becomes extremely excited. He sincerely invites the woman to work at his hospital as a lead surgeon, yet the woman refuses without hesitation and turns away to leave. At that moment, the assistant suddenly tells the director that this woman is Anna, the genius instructor who was just fired from William Hospital. After reading her profile, the director cannot help feeling deep respect, because this woman managed to increase the hospital's surgical success rate by half in only 1 year. Thinking of this, he quickly takes out his business card and introduces himself as the director of a top hospital. He sincerely invites you to become the general medical instructor of our hospital. The base salary will be at least $30,000 every month. Seeing his sincere attitude, Anna finally agrees to his invitation. In fact, Anna's true identity is a national chief-level surgeon. Many years ago, an accident occurred while she was performing surgery on her mentor, which sadly led to his death. Since that incident, she returned to a small city and worked as an instructor at William Hospital. Almost every surgery in the hospital was carried out under her guidance, until one day Anna suddenly suffered from low blood sugar while guiding a surgery. She only drank 2 bottles of glucose from the hospital, but the department director used this opportunity to deliberately make things difficult for her during payday. He even removed her position as surgical instructor and replaced her with his own brother-in-law. A young doctor nearby cannot help saying that without Sister Anna's guidance, our surgeries would never have had such a high success rate. However, the director claims that all the success was due to his own medical plan. Looking at this completely corrupted hospital, Anna simply removes her badge and resigns on the spot. At that time, the director has no idea that the hospital's reputation was entirely built because of Anna. He even mocks her, saying, "Once you leave here, you will eventually starve on the streets." Unexpectedly rescuing someone this time allows the director of the top hospital to discover this extraordinary genius. Soon, he personally brings Anna to his hospital. But as soon as she arrives, all the doctors are dissatisfied with the director's arrangement. They believe that Anna is too young to serve as the general medical instructor. Some even suspect that she only got the position because of her attractive appearance. Facing everyone's doubts, Anna remains completely calm. Just then, a janitor nearby suddenly burps and Anna hears it. Based only on the frequency and smell of the burp, Anna immediately judges that the man has pancreatic cancer. The janitor freezes in shock when he hears this, but George refuses to believe her diagnosis. He says the janitor obviously just ate too much. However, after hearing this, the director becomes serious at once. He immediately asks George to take the man for a medical examination. George arrogantly says that if the janitor turns out to be healthy, this arrogant woman should be thrown out. Moments later, the janitor's medical report is placed right in front of everyone. George is so shocked that he cannot say another word. Suddenly, a pregnant woman is rushed into the hospital. After examination, the director discovers a sharp piece of glass stuck in the side of her chest. If it is handled improperly, both mother and child could die. Anna takes one look and determines that it is a tension pneumothorax. She immediately asks the nurse to bring decompression equipment, but the nurse shakes her head and says the hospital does not have any. All the doctors also admit that they truly have no such tools. It turns out this top hospital has ranked at the bottom of the city for many years. Because of constant suppression from William Hospital, there are almost no patients. As a result, many medical devices are severely lacking. Seeing that the pregnant woman is about to collapse, Anna casually picks up a delivery box from the nurse's station along with a bottle of water. While everyone is still confused about what she plans to do, in less than a minute she creates a simple air release device. The veteran doctors are completely astonished by her skill. At this moment, everyone finally loses their earlier doubts about her abilities. Not long after, inside the office of William Hospital, the hospital director is furiously scolding the department chief because the hospital's surgical success rate has been continuously dropping recently. The ranking of the hospital has even fallen out of the top 3 in the city. The chief hurriedly promises that starting today, all surgeries above level 3 will be performed personally by him. Within 1 month, the hospital will surely return to its former glory. Suddenly, a doctor notices that the woman in a newspaper on the floor looks very familiar. When he picks it up, he realizes that Anna has already gone to the top hospital to serve as the general instructor, and within less than a month she helped that hospital rise from the bottom to second place in the entire city. When the chief sees this news, he becomes furious with anger. Even now, he refuses to believe that the hospital's decline is because of Anna, but his subordinates repeatedly suggest bringing Anna back. At least with her supporting every surgery, nothing would go wrong. In the end, the chief reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, at the top hospital, everyone is praising Anna's incredible skills. Without your arrival, our hospital could never have reached such a height. But suddenly, the former chief walks in with several people. With an arrogant expression, he points at Anna and says, "As long as you kneel down and admit your mistake right now, I might consider letting you return to William Hospital." Anna never expected that this chief could be so shameless. His brother-in-law even warns Anna to be sensible. William Hospital is not a place that just anyone can enter. The chief even promises that if you come back, the monthly salary of $3,000 will remain unchanged. Just then, the director of the top hospital walks in carrying a suitcase of money. He says that all of this is Anna's bonus. At the same time, he also also offers half of the hospital's shares. The chief is completely stunned by this shocking move. He simply cannot understand why Anna is worth so much money, seeing that his attempt to recruit her has failed. Before leaving, he angrily warns Anna that once our hospital is promoted, even if you beg on your knees, I will never allow you to come back. After saying this, he storms away. One day, William Hospital receives a patient who requires a level 4 surgery to remove an eyeball. The chief and his brother-in-law personally take part in the operation. Even the president of the City Medical Association comes to observe, because this surgery determines whether the hospital can be promoted. However, just as the surgery begins, the little girl suddenly wakes up. They panic and quickly prepare to operate again. But the president immediately orders them to stop the surgery and transfer the patient to the top hospital. If such a small surgery can already go wrong, who would take responsibility if something happens to the girl? Soon the girl is sent to Anna's hospital. After understanding the situation, Anna immediately orders the child to be taken into the operating room. But just as they are about to remove the girl's eyeball, Anna suddenly stops them. She states that it is not melanoma but a parasitic infection. Soon the doctors indeed find a parasite inside the girl's eye. This surgery not only saves the girl's life, but also preserves the eyeball that was originally supposed to be removed. The president sighs and says that because of the misdiagnosis from William Hospital, this child almost became permanently disabled. Fortunately, you discovered it in time and saved the situation. Not long after the chief of William Hospital receives this news, he realizes that if he wants to protect his reputation, he must use some tricks. So on this day, he once again brings his brother-in-law to Anna's hospital. He warns that Anna is being given one final chance. If you refuse to return to William Hospital today, then later you will lose your job once again. Just as he finishes speaking, the president suddenly arrives. With regret, he tells the director of the top hospital that their hospital may be merged with William Hospital. Hearing this, everyone immediately understands that the chief must have bribed some powerful figures. At this moment, the chief's brother-in-law arrogantly says that after the merger, they will get rid of the poor patients. The chief quickly signals him to stop because the president is still standing nearby. The president's expression suddenly becomes extremely dark and serious. The surrounding citizens stand up one after another, saying that the top hospital must not disappear. If it is swallowed by William Hospital, ordinary people will no longer be able to afford medical care. At that moment, the president suddenly tells Anna and the director, there is a patient here who needs a level 5 spinal correction surgery. As long as your two hospitals compete to see who can cure the patient, the lead surgeon will become the new medical god. With the influence of the medical god, William Hospital would not easily swallow your hospital. Hearing this, the chief is the first to accept the challenge, because he knows that only the medical god can successfully complete a level 5 surgery. If he succeeds, he will become the next medical god. Even if he fails, Anna certainly cannot complete it either. In the end, the hospitals will still be merged. After hearing about the level 5 surgery, the director hesitates for a moment, because he still does not know that Anna is actually the legendary medical god from years ago. Soon the day of the surgery finally arrives. Representing William Hospital, the chief personally begins the operation first. He plans to directly use equipment to forcibly straighten the patient's spine. This scene frightens Anna, who is watching outside. She quickly warns that forcing the correction will cause massive bleeding, but the chief angrily scolds her for interfering with his surgery. Then he proceeds with the operation. As soon as the surgery begins, the patient indeed suffers massive bleeding. Seeing this, Anna immediately orders her team to prepare to take over the surgery, because William Hospital's operation has already failed. The president fiercely scolds the chief on the spot. Now the patient's life is completely entrusted to Anna. Anna calmly guides the surgical steps from outside. At first, everything progresses smoothly, but when the surgery reaches the 3rd hour, the chief surgeon suddenly cuts his hand on the equipment. This means he must withdraw from the surgery. Seeing this, the people from William Hospital secretly rejoice, because once the chief surgeon leaves, it basically means the patient will die. At the critical moment, the director desperately asks Anna to step in personally. If you do not take action now, our entire hospital will be finished. But when Anna recalls the scene of operating on her mentor years ago, she is filled with fear. Since the day her mentor died on the operating table, she has never picked up a scalpel again. Although she has continued to work in hospitals over the years, she has always remained only as an instructor. Just as she sinks into those fearful memories, the assistant suddenly brings a document. He has investigated Anna's past achievements. Only then does he discover that she was once the legendary medical god. He also learns why she left the big city, so he immediately tells her that the surgery years ago was not an accident. Someone secretly tampered with the operation. When Anna sees the report in the file, she finally understands. She had never actually failed back then. She had been framed by someone. Therefore, she immediately decides to personally perform the surgery. But the chief sneers and says, stop dreaming. If you really manage to complete this surgery, I will give you my position as chief. But if you fail, you will never be a doctor again in your life. Hearing this, Anna calmly changes into surgical clothing and walks into the operating room. But as soon as she enters, the patient suddenly suffers cardiac arrest due to insufficient adrenaline and falls into a false death state. Outside, the chief watches as the doctors repeatedly use electric shocks trying to restore the heartbeat. He mocks them, saying Anna is simply ruining a corpse. However, at that moment, Anna suddenly orders everyone to stop the electric shocks. Then she picks up a heavy hammer and violently strikes the patient's chest. At that moment, the chief and his brother-in-law rush in trying to stop the surgery. But at this critical moment, the patient suddenly regains a heartbeat. And from that moment, the scheming chief's real crisis finally begins.